Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who I am, my name is Ciarra, and I am an artist here on the internet doing artsy things. So, we're going to continue with my sketchbook tours through time to kind of show the progression of my art through my sketchbooks, that sort of deal. So, the next section of sketchbooks that we're going to be doing are kind of like I have a lot from sort of like the 2018 to like 2020 time frame. So I'm going to kind of do them in increments. So we're going to start with these two since this was like definitely the start of 2018. So we have 2018, like what was it? May 15th. Yeah, May 15th. And then this one I started July 2nd of 2018 and then I ended it in February of 2019. So you're going to see me kind of go through there. I'm also pretty sure in this particular sketchbook, I had pasted in stuff from like years later into here because it was around this time that I started to get more into the habit where I would draw things and other things and I would tape it in to fill in space and whatnot. So I think we're going to start with the big Canson one here. Again, this was one that I kind of got um, in sort of like continuing that summer um, project thing that my school gave, like my college gave me, and I kind of talked about that in my previous sketchbook tour. So this was still carrying on that idea and trying to keep up that practice. So we're going to dive into it now. We're also starting to approach the time period where in my sketchbooks, there's going to be ideas that I still really want to kind of explore. So don't be surprised if you see me kind of like cover up those sketches because I don't want to reveal them yet, as well as we're starting to get into the time frame where I started doing more of my not safe for work artwork. So those sketches, I'm also going to try my best to like censor those so you guys don't see it. And because if you're curious to see those sort of things, go to my Patreon. But anyway, we're going to jump into this. So here we have, let me make sure everything is in frame. So let me zoom out just the teeniest bit. Sorry if the quality gets a little funky when I do that, but it's the best way to see like this whole sketchbook. So this was me playing around with some like concept stuff for this idea, potentially for this long canvas that I have, but didn't go any further than this. So let's just keep going. Here we have some, let me fix my table here. All right. Oh God. So we have some different like little lip studies here. And then I also got into the habit of starting to paste in like my color swatch pieces, tape them down. Believe me, I have a sketchbook coming up that was from 2019 that is filled with just pasted in things. And then this is what became my Galactic Sweet Tooth print and finished piece, which I'll throw up those images somewhere here so that you guys can see it. I do particularly love this one. I ended up, I think, doing the final artwork in Copic marker. And then I also kind of came back to it not too long ago and did a digital background on it. Next up, so playing around with some concept ideas. This was going to become an oil painting, but I started kind of playing around with the oil painting and I haven't finished it, so I don't know if I'll ever actually get around to doing that. Rough idea of something here. We have a life drawing of a aloe vera plant that is still alive to this day, literally, and has a bunch of babies now. And then over here, so these are actually thumbnails for my bluebell OC, which I'll throw up an image of what that looks like. That original piece has actually sold at this point. And then over here, I'll have to twist this around. We have the thumbnail sketch for Hold My Heart, which is another print that I did, and another piece that is finished as well, which I still have that one available. And then over here, this was the thumbnailing for what became an etching print that I did in school. Again, like my last semester of school. This is a lot of like my senior work that you'll end up seeing. And then over here, I was working again, thumbnailing more ideas as during mermaid. So of course I'm going to draw mermaids a ton. So just playing around with different compositions and whatnot. And this is a piece I'm going to keep hidden, a sketch, because I still kind of like the idea and I would like to play around with it. This one, is Drifting Lights, and so that became this finished piece, which I've also turned into prints. You can find that on my website. This is another one I'm going to keep hidden over here. This is just a weird doodle. I don't even know what I was going for, but obviously it was like kind of playing around with a portrait, but just random watercolor squiggles. This was a master study, Giovanni, some sort of work from him. And then this was, I've had a concept in my head way back here for one of my original characters, and I was trying my damnedest to do the pose, but at the time I could just not get it right. So these are actually based off a photo that I had my family take a photo of me at the beach trying to do the pose, and I was trying to practice it more. All right. We have another sort of master study. This is Michelangelo. Here we have some more thumbnails. Actually, this one did become a little finished piece. I'll try to get a photo up here. It's like, oh, that was like one of my last pieces that I think I did publicly on my old YouTube, and then I kind of went on a hiatus for a while, but it was like supposed to be a Kelpie. And then this actually was the doodle for a Draw This in Your Style. Again, I have a photo somewhere that I posted on Instagram. This one is also going to say a secret over here to the left. This was me actually working on a background piece, and this is actually much more recent, like within the last like 5 years. I did this because I have a whole set of sketches. I did a whole thing of zodiacs, like portraits, and originally there was really kind of nothing in the background, so I started working on like filling in the background pieces, and so this ended up on, I think, the background of the Leo piece, which is like one of the only ones I've actually finished and painted, which I'll have an image of that up here. And this is also a sketch that's going to stay secret. This was me working on swatching colors, I think, for that same Leo piece. And then over here, we have a portrait. I really love this sketch. And this is actually one I pasted in. I think this is actually from one of the other summer sketchbooks, and I pasted it in here. But I love this sketch very much. It is of my doggo Mickey, and I think this would be so fun to actually paint this one of these days. I think I have a photo of this somewhere as well, but I was very proud of this. I think it came out good. Again, working out like some different concept ideas, this weird kind of like watercolor thing going on here, and then a praying mantis. Then we have more life drawing. I got my foot. And then my desk with all my various jars, which has not changed at all, and my hand. I clearly had purple nails at the time. More of my feet. I actually think these ones are pretty good. Feet are really hard to draw. And then this was actually the line art sketch, like thumbnail essentially, for, at the time I did a collaboration with another artist online, and so this was the piece that I was going to, I think, watercolor. I watercolored it, and then he did the line art over it, while he gave me a line art of a character and I painted it. We have a self-portrait here. Not the worst. Then of course we got some life drawing. All right, and then in here we have some pages of some stuff I pasted in. This was for something else. This was actually for like a commission thing I did. Then underneath we got some life drawing, more life drawing, and then more of that dragon thing I pasted in over more life drawing, another life drawing, and then random doodles that clearly did not amount to anything. Another weird kind of self-portrait thing that I went back in and like doodled and did some other stuff. I think I really did not like the mouth, like how I drew my mouth, so I just like did something kind of weird over it. It actually all kind of works as a weird kind of sketch. Another kind of trying to do a self-drawing, more of that commission kind of stuff that I did years ago. This was me way back here trying to play around with the idea of like what my logo would be. This is actually another self-portrait. My hair was much shorter back then, and then this was like right after doing a photo shoot, so my hair was like super curled. These actually were the sketches for some little tiny paintings I did that were initially for Patreon logo, like tier images, which I had briefly up for a while and then I took them down. More kind of life drawing. I think I'm kind of a master study. Ugh, there's a bug in my room. More of that logo, whatnot. A little doodle that I never painted. I'm actually wearing like this sketches of clothes that I did for a photo shoot, because this was when I was like modeling for a fashion blog back in this day. More self-portrait, and this was actually 2020 when I did this. So 20-minute one, 6/19/2020. Then we have sink into the silence and forget about what lies above. Quiet, quiet, quiet. I was having some sort of feelings that day. This is actually the sketch that I pasted in. I think this was probably 2020 or 2019 of my Year of the Pig piece, which was actually the first piece I did, I think, that started off like doing the Chinese New Year pieces. And then this is a life drawing sketch actually of house, and this has appeared in some of my other summer sketchbooks. That was across the water from like the sandbar that my family would go and boat out to. Can't show. So we have I guess it was probably a life drawing sketch, some more random doodles of I don't know what, and I can't show the page that I pasted in here because it is not safe for work. If you want to go see what that is, it's definitely on my Patreon. More life drawing. I want to say that's my brother that I was trying to draw his face, and that is really bad. And another weird like life drawing, a life drawing, I think, or excuse me, figure drawing, life drawing of, I think it was supposed to be water in the sandbar. And then this was a time where I had borrowed a book called The Animal Anatomy for Artists. And I actually ended up now, years later, I have that book. I bought it, but I was doing some of like the studies from that book. The monkey, the bear, and then another self-portrait thing. And this is all more from that animal book for Anatomy for Artists. So I was doing studies of that and the bones. And then this is more for those zodiac pieces for the background. And then figure drawing, more figure drawing. This is what I end up doing towards like the end of sketchbooks to kind of like fill in those last pages because I'm like losing steam. So I'll just like do life figure drawing stuff. And so a lot of the rest of this, the end of this book was me coming back, I think from like 2020 to like 2021, where I was working on like some concept art for the book that I ended up doing the book cover for. This is one that I can show because I have like displayed this painting on social media at this point. But I was very proud because I don't often draw horses, and I was pretty proud of these ones. And then this is a page set. Again, these were studies. This was actually me in this outfit that was hand dyed. It was for that fashion blog that I was doing this dress as well. So these are based off some of the photos that we took from that fashion shoot. So I'm in that one. And there is the other outfit. That's not me. It was a different model. And then another weird kind of self-portrait that I definitely pasted in here with all this rainbow stuff. Kind of neat. And then this one over here, this actually became my Winter Eye artwork, which I'll show that. I think I still have that original piece. And then this was actually a gift that I gave to my partner. We were watching Made in Abyss, and so I did this little fan art piece, and I gave it to him in a tiny little frame as like I think it was either a birthday or a Christmas present or something. And yeah, I still have it. I think I have an image somewhere maybe. And yeah, that is basically the rest of that book, because again, a lot of it was just towards the end preliminary sketches and like concept stuff for the book that I did the work for, and we haven't really shown any of those like publicly yet. I haven't really gotten the author's permission for that yet, so I'm not going to really show that. So now let's move on to the other sketchbook here, which I will zoom back in a little bit. So this one was a funny one, especially for the beginning. Again, I actually put little goals in here for what I wanted to do with this sketchbook. Let me try to get that in frame. See, challenges, original characters, comic stuff, male characters, animals, plants, rooms, interiors, and buildings. Not much has changed. I still have most of those goals on my list. But the beginning of this started at, again, 2018, and it started with the emoji challenge where I asked on like my Instagram, like, hey, give me 3 emojis, and then I was to combine them to make like a little doodle. So that was what a lot of these beginning sketches are. So this was, I think I got the alien, the camera, and then the little water gun. So this is what I came up with. It's a really good exercise, I feel like. I think this was the orange cat, a wine glass, and maybe like a rainy cloud. So that's what I came up there. Oh God, I know it was like the carousel thing, the music notes. Maybe the moon was the other emoji for that one. And then over here we have, I was doing that kissing kind of like drawing meme, and I did a bunch of my original characters. So we have Coral and Dylan, we got Scully and Jack, we have Tiger Lily and Bluebell, Leaf and Vesna, and then we have Kronos and Eos. So those two are very old. I mean, this is one of my oldest OCs, Jack, and they're very old as well. These are kind of more recent. Another emoji challenge, hourglass, maybe moon, maybe cat again. I don't know exactly. Or maybe it was the sun. Weird combination. This one was definitely like the devil emoji, the angel emoji, and then the butterfly. And I still like this one a lot. This was also emoji challenge. It was the like the party popper. I think the blue like diamond, and then I can't remember what the third one was. Now this was actually a draw this in your style for Apollina PC was the original artist. So there's also a lot of that in here where I was doing draw these in your style. This is actually a little comic that I made. Oh, it's funny. I want to redraw this one and do it better now. This was one that I did kind of inspired by Absolute Alma. I forget what exactly was like the initial thing, but it was definitely like driven by something she was posting. I think it was kind of like a draw this in your style or like a draw this kind of concept idea. And then this is back, I think on my original, which is now like my private Instagram account, I was saying like, thank you for 900 plus back in 2018 before I made like my art dedicated Instagram. That's now my public one. But yeah, little self-portrait of me, OC Coral and OC Scully. This is another kind of challenge thing where it was like doing the different faces. And so I was also playing around with like different styles for it. We have another draw this in your style from the Procrasti artist. This is something I pasted in here, and this became my Pink Mermaid piece, which I'll throw up somewhere here. These were thumbnails for I think it was my 2018 Inktober, because I was already starting to plan it out, because it was specifically, I made my own prompt list for that, and my goal was to draw just my OCs and kind of like almost sell like a continuing story, but not really. Playing around with, I got these 3 new Copic colors at the time, and I was going to do like a 3-color challenge with them, and so I was like trying to figure out what to do with them. And then this was just like a very yellow based mermaid. And then back on Instagram, this was the thing I was doing, was I was having people give me questions for my OCs, and then I was going to draw little comics for it. So obviously that's me. The question was, can he take like a full unicorn form? So I said, hey Leaf, can you go full unicorn? And this is what he thinks. It's mama. He's like, I don't want to talk about it. And then I was like, I'll take that as a maybe. And then I got a second question that was going to be for my OC's olive oil and water. And I never finished it, clearly. Let's see. How did you guys meet? And so they're kind of talking about that. We got some figure drawing, and then there was going to be a third one I was going to do, which was actually in relations to that oil and water piece. I'll throw that up here so you guys know what I'm talking about. How much time did it take you to create that particular artwork? And I don't remember at this point. This was actually a life drawing study of I forget what this plant is called, but it was my parents' plant. They still have it. And now I have one of my own that's a light pink one. All right, we got another page with a draw this in your style challenge. I think that's Gore chart, Grouch art, 24K. So I did that little one. I don't know what these. Maybe I was coming up with ideas for. Oh yeah, these were like This was for my Inktober related to that, because that's definitely what these thumbnails were to right here. And then more kind of thumbnailing characters. These are some of my original characters. Astra, that's Plax, that is Hesperos, what's the name? And then that's Neebe. Again, more of those thumbnails. And then this is another draw this in your style challenge, if I can say it right. Galaxies drawing your style. I think that's really cute. More thumbnails that hopefully you can read. I think this was supposed to be another draw this in your style challenge, or maybe not. Can't remember now. More thumbnailing kind of sketches of my original characters. Iris, which I've drawn her quite a few times now, especially around Halloween. I am actually working on a new one, which is probably already up on my Patreon by now when I post this video. But these three are kind of like together in that story. So it's Iris, Belladonna, and Daisy. And this actually is another OC of mine, Drifa, that kind of randomly came about. Don't even know what this page is. Also, just like, I don't know. This is just a random doodle, playing around with the watercolor, more thumbnailing for definitely the Inktober for that year. Something I didn't like. Then another little doodle, kind of playing again with a limited color palette. And then these turned into definitely a little portrait. And I think I have an image somewhere. And then this actually was a little ATC that I made as a reward for a giveaway or something that I was doing. So somebody has this now. I can't remember the account who won it at this point, but hopefully they're still out there watching. Oh, what is going on there? All right, and then this was thumbnailing and sketching for a piece. I think I called Orange Skirt. I think I have an image somewhere. If I do, I'll put it up. And then this was me thumbnailing and swatching for, I was going to do the Whovember challenge around this time, which that is, a lot of that is in a different sketchbook, which I think I will be showing next video. And I was doing it both in Copic and in watercolor because that's how I was getting the right color combinations. So some ended up as small ATC originals was how I was doing it. And then in the Copic little sketchbook I'll be showing next time. And actually a lot of these Whovember, like the ATCs, watercolor ones, a lot of them I've actually sold at this point. I don't have a lot of them left. This also became like a finished little portrait. If I have the image, I'll put it up. Same with this one. And then I think this was just a random doodle. More little random doodles and mermaids. I was again playing around with some new Copic colors that I got at this time. We're still 2018. And then this is actually a redraw of a very, very old drawing of mine. Again, I have images, so I'll throw them up here. So yeah, that's how, this is like the updated version of it. And it's just a weird doodle. I think it'd be fun to draw it again at this point. Again, that's a couple years ago now. Just some random little ideas, kind of playing around with different flowers, whatnot. We have a doggo, greyhound, and then this was obviously in the height of my playing the Arcana game, and I had this idea and it got stuck in my head and I thought it was so funny. But when you get when we get Lucia's root, and so that's how old this is. Lucia's root wasn't even an option at this point, but I was copying the what is it? Lilo and Stitch meme where I need someone to be my friend. This was like supposed to be my insert like character into the story. Maybe send me an angel, the nicest angel you have. And they were like Nadia and Arsa and Julian are listening in. And then next is Lucio showing up laughing. Here we're just playing around with some swatches. This is a Daniel and Smith color. This was the first Daniel and Smith color I ever got. And I love the way that it like granulated and did like weird stuff. This is another Draw This in Your Style. That was Lana J Arts. And this one, I remember when I posted this, got me a lot of likes on Instagram at the time. And this, so remember I said I had took that hiatus off my YouTube? Because back on my original YouTube channel, which is just my name, which has become like my tarot channel, this was the first video that I put back on there way back in 2019 when I came back onto that channel. And this was like probably like right before I started actually reading tarot on my channel. So that's the piece I did for that. And that was another piece that was around the same time. And then this was another one of my original characters, Nada, that I started drawing and then never finished. Some random, I think this is actually a concept sketch for an idea for Year of the Pig. But we know which piece I ended up going with because it's in the other sketchbook. And then this is my alien girl, which became this finished piece. And actually she appeared again later on in a Not Safe for Work 2-page little comic I did. So if you're interested in that, it's on my Patreon. And then this is the sun. I did that finished piece. I really liked this when I did it at the time. And then let's see, this was a little jellyfish girl. This also became a finished piece, which I have the image. It's going to go here. And then just some random like face doodles. And then this one, I think this is the last page, second to last page. This was also going to be a Draw This in Your Style challenge. And I was silly and I never wrote the artist's name, so I do not remember who this was. And lastly, some random little doodles with like mermaids and crystals and stuff. And so, yeah, that is the end of that sketchbook. So these were mainly like some 2018 to like 2019 sketches for the most part. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed seeing these sketchbooks, and I will see you in my next one. Remember to check out all my links down below. And again, if you're curious about any of the Not Safe for Work stuff that was starting to pepper into these, go to my Patreon because that's where you probably will find them. And yeah, I will see you all later. Bye-bye.